nature has the answers for us, and there's no
Totally.
hacking nature. Oh, this fertilizer's got this and it's time release and all that.
What you're talking about is like bypassing.
Yeah, there's no bypassing. It is a perfect system.
Yeah.
It's very, very obvious to everyone, if you look at it.
Our potential, it's exponential.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another podcast today. I have my new friend with Tru Greens Landscaping, Sean Mcbride. Welcome to the podcast.
How we doing, Jack? Thanks so much for having me, bro.
Great.
Appreciate
Yeah, of course, dude. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and we were just getting into it. I guess we'll just start right there. Sean was mentioning he was like working the hustle and bustle, the 9 to 5, and what makes it, because I'm the same way where I was working that and I just couldn't do it anymore. Like rough jobs, and it wasn't lighting me up. Why? Is there something in us that what is that makes us, is it our will, will to for something greater? What sparks that, change?
I think honestly it comes from our hearts, if we're going to be real with it.
Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
Because, working, in our society that we grew up in, we're all brainwashed to a certain extent, going through the schooling system and making it to where we didn't make it. You get out of high school, you go into college, you pick a career path, and you support your family and grow wealth. And that's, collect stuff.
Get good grades.
The good grades.
Be obedient.
I'm showing up. We're good. We're good on that point. But it's just, I saw the vision working for a family's business, that there was something that I was passionate about, and it didn't necessarily align to what my heart's interest was, but the passion was that I'm helping my family grow. Didn't have to necessarily be my immediate family, my wife, my kids at that time. It was that I saw a potential for me continuing to do this work with them. That
working for your family.
Yeah, working for the family. And just to let you guys know, I was selling restaurant equipment, Taylor soft serve ice cream machines. So it's something that I like ice cream. That's great.
Yeah.
Check that box. It's family business. Check that box.
Yeah.
Getting paid well. Check that box. Was it fulfilling my soul though? And it really wasn't. So from, taking it from there, the idea of trying to find a freedom within this society was kind of like a trigger. And, I did a lot of podcast listening.
Yeah.
Podcasts
did a lot for me too, right?
Yeah. That
Open up different ways of different mindsets, different belief systems.
Just hearing people talk freely and not have a direct reason for a sale point or
come from it in a box, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
And that was
limits.
For 5 years, I worked in a box, in a cubicle with headsets on, talking to people calling in from McDonald's that, education level is not relevant, but just, the idea of them calling us and looking for these pieces that we are specialized in and all that just led to me to believe that there was something further that I wanted to have this knowledge to answer people with. And it wasn't about ice cream machines.
Yes. So now that now that you're on the path, dude, because now tell me about what you do now.
Yeah. So me and my wife run Tru Greens Landscape Designs, LLC, out of Jensen Beach, Florida. We are actually a co-op of Food Forest Abundance, which is Jim Gale and his whole, group that really inspired me to take this path and live this life. Because, again, heard him on a podcast.
Wow.
Heard him on THC, Greg Carlwood, Higher Side Chats.
Cool.
Heard him on Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli.
Oh, I've seen that one.
And I was like, bro, this guy's got something interesting. He's pitching an idea where he's not the answer. It's that we're the answer. We need to get out there and get back into the land.
It is. I have heard of him, and it's cool. He's right. It's a decentralized effort.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. And, he's got his own goals and alignment, but at the same time, he empowers the people that are interested in this kind of work to get back into the land, into setting up their own businesses, which is
cool. So you have your landscaping company, heck yeah, in Jensen, and you also work for him. So I'm curious just how it works, Food Forest Abundance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So how does it work? Like you you guys go and get food forest install jobs and help people plant food forests?
Yeah, so Jim and his crew, they have a talented group of like permaculture designers all across the nation, even outside of our country. We've had a couple designs that were built here in Florida with designers that were building out of Canada, just for one example. So basically, they have the media force and the following, and they're basically a lead generator. You know, they bring in the people that have the like-mindedness that we do, and then bring it to the masses where it's like, why are we continuously growing grass and growing perennial, you know, BS to a certain extent for aesthetics when we could have just as much beauty, just as much perfection, and also have a medicinal use, have a you know, an edible use.
Be beneficial. Totally. To everyone, to ourselves.
Seems like a no-brainer.
And the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
But that's cool. So they tell the story. They help tell the story to generate leads.
That's right.
That's badass.
Yeah, man.
Because that's what needs to be done, because I know what you mean. The current practices are no bueno.
No bueno.
So anyways, yeah, moving right along, man, because I just, to bring it back to like what, because I want to make it possible and real for everyone else.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because you went from that hustle and bustle, like not being over working in a cubicle. What can someone else do to make it real for them where they could be out having this lifestyle?
Impacting our environment, yeah. I mean, I think the main things to talk about were that we climbed the ladder the same way that everybody's supposed to, air quotations. You know, we go through a college career path. We, you know, graduate from there, have a mindset of what we want to be in 5 years, get the house, get pregnant, have the first kid.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at the next 10, 15 years from now. And we're like, okay, so this is it. We're just going to continue to grind, spend less time with the kids.
Right.
And
what matters?
Yeah, what really matters? Is it about the materialism, us collecting
it's just
the goods, and I need a bigger TV. I need a fucking nice shag rug right here. I need
I
get
it.
perfect king size bed, you know, with the fucking
the priority switch is quick when you have that lens, right? Of like
absolutely.
So that's so cool, man, because now you got 2 kiddos and you're teaching them how to do this stuff.
4 years old and soon to be 2 years old in May.
Talk about that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So like these girls they're from the earth, you know, like they're my 4-year-old, her morning passion is waking me up and going, Daddy, can we go outside and catch lizards? There's lizards out there. And you know, like in the last 4 days we just got chickens, so we got 3 chickens now in the backyard. So we're starting that next adventure of like sustainability. You know, it's like we're looking at egg prices going up, and that's fear mongering. I'm not worried about the price of eggs. If we got the money and we need the thing that we're gonna need, we'll make it happen. But like this is about the lifestyle now. So it's like really I think the main mindset change happened when we had the second. You know, for us, we were still kind of going through the 9 to 5, both of us kind of on this grind for paying our bills, and that's about it, you know, and like potentially saving some money every month for XYZ, you know, a vacation or this and that. And that our everyday life could be a vacation if you start your morning out in the garden, cultivating your fruits and vegetables, growing something from scratch that, you know, you go to the grocery store and pay $8 for whatever, a bushel of kale or, you know, cucumbers or something like that. And it just makes more sense to me, and like for us, that if we're really going to teach them something to go forward with and into the next generation, it's like what's the basics? And the basics, not materialism. It's not about air conditioning.
It's fleeting, bro.
It's fleeting.
It's fleeting. You're so right. But this is real. This is like, man, that's beautiful. So no, can we just, because what you said is so important, our everyday can be a vacation, our everyday lifestyle. So I just wanted to just, like that song by Dirty Heads. It's real, man. Like, you know, where it's fully integrated. I see it. I mean, and that's the future that I'm striving for. And every project we work on, it's, you know, obviously completely individual. The client needs, and with design or without design, when we come out there to speak to these people, you know, for the most part, they understand flowers and they understand butterflies
and they understand native plants. Minimal, as far as like knowledge base, but like, there's so many things, and this, we're obviously talking from here in South Florida, so we have a pretty abundant climate zone that we can grow a lot of really cool stuff. But for everyone, like there's climate zones in all across the nation that can be just as abundant with the stuff that works in your zone.
That's it. Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah. So I mean, that's in the basic,
that's the first conversation.
That's
for
it.
Sure.
What are you guys looking? I want
Yeah.
tomatoes. I want this. It's like, these are annual crops that, take a little more care. What if you thought that you could grow something perennial that every morning you came out here and you could be picking and eating something, bringing it right into your kitchen.
I love that.
To cook it.
I love that because that's an amazing point to people. But some people aren't ready for that bridge to eat katuk out their garden. I've realized. So the veggie garden is a good bridge.
It's the start for sure.
It totally is. Herbs and like easier things.
I think it's in our minds too,
veggies.
from watching even like cartoons and stuff like that. Like a lot of these characters that you're having your younger children watch. It's beneficial if these characters are
interesting
having an herb garden or having tomatoes or strawberries or something like that growing. It piqued their interest. Why can't we grow this? Oh, we can. Why aren't we doing it? Let's do it.
We need like cartoon characters that are like longevity spinach.
Okinawa, bro.
The kids would be pumped. Yeah. That's amazing. This is great because I really relate to you, Sean, because we were talking about it before this, I went to same thing, brainwash, whatever you want to call it, conditioned. Like, this is the way you go to school, you go to college, all these things, check the boxes.
This is the way.
This is the way, Jack. Don't think differently. And I was always like, but what about this? And anyways, I relate because like, I was into sports, all those things. Like you said, you played soccer at FAU. I went to FGCU, college, FGCU. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So it was like a great experience, but I'm just, I'm curious because now once you learn, I don't know, you like lift the veil, and see this.
I think
there's no going back.
That was my upbringing, like from the earliest ages. I would say, 4 or 5 years old, I was in flag football, playing soccer, going, transitioning into middle school and elementary school. It was always sports. That's where I connected with my family, with my mom and my dad, cheering me on and doing all that kind of stuff. And that was really like a singular vision of what my future was going to look like. And I was, I'm 5'9", I'm not a big guy. It was something that like once I got into my high school career and realized that the gentleman that I was going against, and it wasn't because of my mentality or anything like that. I realized that my genetics were not aligning myself with this career that
no one tells you that
my entire life. I was like, oh, I'm fucking great at this, great at that, great at that. And then you get to a certain point and it's like, if you're not this type of breed, you're not going to really proceed forward. And if you are, you're going to have a rough time and then suffer the consequences with all the,
maybe if you yeah, no, it's true. Like you have to be the best of the best, but no one tells you that when you're doing sports. So that's interesting. So sports were your thing, and then you played soccer in college. And then when was it like, all right, this isn't my path, singular path, like? And what was that like?
Well, so like my path coming out of college, I was a full-time lifeguard in Broward County, Florida. I had been doing that part-time since the age I was 15 until I was 27. I kind of thought that coming out of the sports world that was going to be, the mindset and career path that I wanted to choose just because of the lifestyle it brought. I'm at the beach every day. The exercise is part of my job, and I aligned myself with that, and so I think the food stuff really and honestly came about when we got pregnant with our first daughter. There was like a realization that there was something more than us just grinding for money to buy stuff that we didn't necessarily need. And the shopping's great, and all the food that you can buy at extravagant prices at Whole Foods and all that stuff are great.
Right?
But why are they so much? And who's growing them, and how are they growing them?
Yeah.
And that kind of was like the peak interest of like, now we have this house, we have our first daughter, we have a lot of extra land in our yard that we could be either putting fruit trees in or setting up, a traditional veggie garden with tomatoes and all this kind of stuff. And we kind of bit the bullet and was just like, listen, we had a deck in the backyard that previous owner had hot tub on. So we had a nice fat square footage of area that could be plantable, but we had a deck in the way. So I cut into it. I made 2 really good sized beds. I think they were about 12 by 8, fat nice. Beds with a little divider in between. And we just started with whatever we thought we wanted to try to grow.
First season, baby.
We don't know nothing.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing.
You got it. That's the point. That's the point.
And I had people in the realm of, like growing hydroponically, different
How did that
herbs.
go? How did that go?
So like I'd realized from them that they had a certain perspective of what was important, which was soil. If you're going to be doing it in water hydroponically, there's certain chemicals you need to use. But if we're not, and we could do a hybrid system of hydroponic / soil substrate, that there's a very important balance of the soil that you need. So that was like basically I had that little in with a friend of mine that was growing and put me on Fox Farm, Oceanic blend.
Yes.
And that was the one.
Got you. Cool. I know them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you start off with something like that.
Yeah. Soil's important. I think that's a good point when you bring up hydroponic. People don't know. They think it's all cool because you can grow anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, what is it actually grown in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it eating?
Yeah.
What's the plant eating? We all have to eat.
Yeah. Hydroponic doesn't mean organic and,
Correct.
All those things.
Correct.
It's like, yeah, what is it eating? Because a lot of those inputs, they call them, are really like harmful, could be,
It's all about balance.
It's
got to have the right dosage. Anything could be deadly if you don't have the right dosage.
That's it, man. Yeah, nature is wild.
And
but it's about bringing that understanding, I think, to the average person, to the client, like, because it can get overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if somebody has little to zero, knowledge about growing food, I mean, it's important for us to teach them that the number one most important thing is the soil quality. Mm-hmm. Because you could plant seeds. If you got a pocket full of seeds, you can walk around anywhere you want and throw seeds down, and it'll grow or not grow. But the number one factor is the soil quality, and then obviously the water.
100%.
So what's going on with the soil? Why are we just going to be throwing stuff in sand here, especially here in South Florida? We can't grow anything here. It's all sandy soil. Yeah. Doesn't drain well.
So what do you, but mangoes grow well.
Oh, they grow great in sandy soil.
Yucca grows, but exactly, like, how can people have more successful with a wider variety?
Right. What
can someone do? Florida soil sucks. What can someone do?
Amend the soil.
Yeah.
Start from there.
With what?
Well, I mean, if we have a sandy soil, the number one thing that we should be adding to that is, a good biomass with compost soil. It's going to add a bunch of, beneficial things to the soil.
Biomass.
So like
biomass.
We can add after the fact from the compost soil. We can do our compost teas. We can have our guanos, we can have our molasses and all this stuff to add our nitrogens, our phosphorus, our magnesiums into the soil. Because when you're talking about sandy soil, you're talking about a soil that's deficient of nutrients. And that's it. It's a great growing medium because roots grow fast.
Totally.
It's got a lot of area to expand with no,
So talk about that. What is the compost tea? What does that look like? So you said, what is it?
Yeah. So the compost tea that I make, it's got 3 ingredients into it. Let me talk about the materials, and then I'll go into the actual things that we're putting in there.
And before you do, guys, by the way, this means spraying your trees with fertilizers, natural, organic,
earth-born fertilizers. We're not talking about beads of time-release nitrogen or none of that.
No.
This is something that's coming from nature. We're bringing it back into nature and then applying it so that the plants can absorb it. And it's not only going to just benefit the plants, it's going to benefit the soil underneath that,
right? And
create a living soil, that is the most important part. If you're going to have successful trees, you have to have a living soil. Mm-hmm. They got to communicate with each other. They got to, that back and forth is very important. So back to the compost tea. Yeah. So like this looks like, and there's different applications. I've seen it in, 30-gallon drums out at, talking about Food Forest Abundance and Jim Gale's property out in St. Cloud. He's got a couple of these huge 30-gallon drums that he's producing a similar, compost tea. There's no, this is compost tea. This is the only mixture and variety that you can have. So, mine is basic, where it's a 5-gallon bucket. We have a little valve at the bottom, on-off switch, and a fish aerator that does bubbling with a pumice brick, because we want to distribute the bubbles and kind of get everything mixed up without sitting there and having to stir it or blend it up or anything like that. So this compost tea is consisted of seabird guano, beet or sugarcane molasses, and then it's called fish shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to really explain it, but it's
supercharged fish shit.
Yeah, fish shit. So like the stuff, if you have a fish tank at home and you have a filter that you clean out, instead of dumping that into the sink every time you're cleaning it out, collect it in a bucket.
Exactly.
Go out and pour it on your plants.
That's why a lot of these like tilapia or like koi ponds you see in these houses, you can collect that and make fertilizer. Yeah, and feed your plants.
Fertigation.
So dude, you know what's amazing? By the way, thank you. That's an amazing mix, and like thanks for sharing that. You're reminding me. I used to do it because now I do it in a big drum like that.
Yeah.
But I used to do it in a 5-gallon bucket, like right in my living room.
That's it.
When I was in the apartment complex, we would all be hanging out, drinking coffee. There'd be like compost tea aerating right there.
What
so
you got
funny. But it's for the plants. It's what it is it's nutrients and food and nourishment for our plants. Right? So by being good stewards of the land, compost tea is a hack. 100%.
That's super hack. And I don't typically love that term. I see all these silly shit online of life hack, bro. You can get a paper clip and
it's used a lot.
Twist it this way, and you're like, it's not a hack in that extent, but it is like instead of going to Home Depot and getting XYZ fertilizers that you don't really know what's in there. If you have 4 ingredients in front of you and water, you know exactly what you're putting on your plants. And and they're just like humans. The plants are just like us. If you eat shit food and you eat nothing nutritional, you're skinny, you're scrawny, you don't have muscle mass, you don't have whatever it is that you're looking for. It's the same thing with the plant. They're going to produce something for you, and it's going to be minimal. Or you can steward the land and give them 4 ingredients and a thing of water. That takes you, 10 minutes, maybe, if that.
Totally. Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth with like, the plants are just like us, right?
Yeah.
If we go to the store and get something with crazy ingredients, not going to be healthy, not going to be a good outcome. Same thing with our plants. We want it to be simple, natural ingredients for our plants to just drink up. Yeah.
Nature has the answers for us. And there's no hacking nature. Oh, this fertilizer's got this and it's time release and all that.
What you're talking about is like bypassing.
Yeah, there's no bypassing. It is a perfect system.
Yeah.
It's very, very obvious to everyone, if you look at it.
That's so true.
I mean,
so
just
talk a little bit more about that. How, like...
Well, I would just, to a random example would be the Amazon rainforest. I know we may have heard this before, previous conversations or anything like that, but, I don't think that was necessarily nature setting that up to a certain extent, but that was a designed food forest in a perfect climate zone to propagate abundance.
Wow. Yeah, right. For humans. Yeah, I've heard about this. That's why there's big nut trees and stuff in there. Wow, that's so cool.
The Brazilian nut tree. I mean, there's so much stuff there, and I'm not an expert in just about anything.
And this is new, and this is new findings. But I've looked into this too.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, it honestly saddens my heart to think that we're like tearing it down and making cow fields and all this stuff.
We lost that technology to get back with the land.
It's ancient technology.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's not even conspiratorial to a certain extent. If you're going to talk about the civilizations that were there and vanished and all that kind of stuff,
I've heard of
I don't have answers for that.
Yeah, man.
I don't.
You've heard of that? Like a Spanish explorer went back there. We're going deep. This is awesome. I've heard a Spanish explorer went back there and was like, guys, there was a millions of people living here.
Yeah.
And they went back like 100 years later. And like nothing was there.
I think that was the city of Z, possibly.
I don't know. That's interesting. There's
But
so many unknown. And the point is, the more you start to know, the more you realize we know nothing. You know?
Nothing. And I
Nothing.
don't pretend to be,
Yeah.
an expert in anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm a steward to the land, and my real connection is talking with people.
Yeah, man.
And that's the easiest ability that we all have, because that's our value.
Yeah.
If there's no money, there's no capital, there's no gold, there's no dollar bills or whatever else that we're going to pay for our goods. It's our word and our ability to barter. If you don't have the ability to speak with other people, or you don't have goods that you can barter with, we're talking about food.
We need each other, dude.
We need each other.
The more you go through it and yourself realizing all these things, you realize we can't be an island, and we can't. Yeah,
you can hoard resources to a certain extent, and then when shit hits the fan, should it?
If you want to too,
Where are you gonna go get your food if the grocery store is closed, or you're limited to 2 pieces of celery a week, or 1 apple per family, and you gotta spare? What does that look like in the future? If or it could look like we all have abundance, that there'll never be a shortage in any direction. We can all be growing food.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key. That's why we're having this conversation, because we're aligned in the thought process. This is not obviously it's a passion of ours now, and that we want to help people, but we see the end game, whereas that we want to align our civilization and at least our family or community that we're growing to be able to, we all watch these zombies movies and all this kind of stuff. People turn on each other, and it's like we need to be able to turn to each other.
Yeah. No, and live in the vision of that world you're talking about.
Yeah.
With the abundance, and instead of all these other examples you're giving of dystopic whatever, because it is a reality. Like, history is wild. A lot of people don't realize we have lived in a softer, more prosperous time,
Right.
Which is what it is. It just is what it is. But it's good to have some, some context around it. And
There's so much. There's just so many things I want to,
I'm
you look back in history, and you see that these collapse of civilizations align with, solar minimums. What does that mean? So there's less solar activity in our atmosphere than the plants need to be productive. So like when we're looking at these civilizations that built these structures, and it's amazing and did all this, and dude, it just keeps going deeper and deeper.
It's how warm the planet was and stuff like that.
If it goes into a fluctuation where we don't have the ability to cultivate the crops that we're living off of, and again, ancient civilizations had, and I don't know, this is, just an opinion of mine, but like they didn't have the understanding of everything. We have an ability to see so much information now with the internet and being able to communicate with people. So it's like I look back at these old civilizations, and again, just an opinion, looking at, the stories of Egypt, and that it's a desert. So it was never prosperous, other than their technology and their ability to build pyramids. And
that's the story about them.
That's the story. Right. But I believe that was at one point like a forest. Abundant forest
on the Nile,
and maybe they weren't in tune with the practices of nature and farmed it the wrong way.
They corrupted it and farmed it the wrong way,
and created it into a desert over time. Of course, a lot of factors out there, and just an opinion. But
it's interesting. Yeah, well, people say, look at those pyramids, dude. They're insane. I'm so curious about it too. It's like, so you're saying basically a forest, and it was Atlantis.
I think so.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Eden, who knows?
This lady, found me on Nextdoor, which was kind of where I was like posting, some of the stuff that I was doing around town, and just to do some general labor stuff. But like when I came out there, she was already doing a lot of cultivation of her own edible plants. To speak to the main thing she was doing, she lives basically off of chaya spinach.
No way.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's got,
Wait, not like actually just chaya.
Well, no, not complete. She's not sustaining and living off of it, but I would say that is in all 3 of her meals every day.
Wow.
She's got sensitivities to like petroleum-based products. So she's, if there's allergies out in the wind, she can't go outside. She can't get medical treatments because most of them are going through or touching at some point some type of byproduct of petroleum.
Interesting.
And she's got really sensitivity to that. I don't.
So she eats really clean
She
because
eats
of this.
really clean. So this lady was kind of like my own lead generator into what my focus is now going into year 3 of our business, which is our community. I want to grow our footprint. We have the ability with Food Force Abundance to be anywhere in the state of Florida or out of state. If they don't have an installer in Kansas or Idaho or whatever, we have the ability to go out there and do that. I don't know those climate zones as well as I do our own. So like our focus now, and we'll talk a little bit more about like where my wife's going with the business too, but like our main focus going forward now is to create a community so that we, again, talking about the shit hitting the fan, we need a community. We need a barter system,
organization,
communication, and that really is like super important.
Totally. Yeah. Props. Yeah, no, I'm on the path with you, bro, in that regard. We're setting up another system.
Yeah.
In that way, Not to put it all out there like that, but it is almost,
Yeah. And I love that, like, finding you was through, another passion of ours going through this business is like, it's amazing to take my family out and explore different nurseries and find different mindsets of growing techniques and all this kind of stuff. And we kind of stumbled across you because we're in a new area. We transferred from Deerfield Beach, where we lived for 3 years after college.
That's right.
Sold that house and then came up to Jensen Beach with the idea that we want to get away from the hustle and bustle. We want to find land and start just growing food for ourselves. And this is before we even created this business. So like being in a new area and you're getting these large scale projects through Food Force Abundance on my end anyways, that there's a lot of background work that people don't kind of understand, like meeting these suppliers and these material people, that there is a relationship that needs to get built. And
big time.
Yeah. So like finding you was super important for us because it was somebody else like-minded that is doing the same thing, and we never aligned ourselves thinking that this was a competition. So it was like, this is amazing, we need to go meet Jack immediately so that we can like talk about this, and like,
cool,
there's got to be some kind of synchronicity that we can help each other or whatever, because it's not about that. We chose this pathway for the lifestyle.
And I'm that way too, right? You can tell, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah, Sean came to my plant sale, and it was a beautiful gesture. It was super fun. Your kids were running around,
barefoot, grabbing lizards, finding bugs.
Dude,
the rest of the kids are stuck to their parents' legs.
Your kid's like, let's go outside and get lizards now.
Let's fucking go.
That's amazing. So now you're up in Jensen, man. You're spreading the abundance. Like, tell me about some of these experiences you've had, because you said you went to like Texas and worked with some cool people. Let me know about that.
Absolutely, yeah. So Jim, amazing guy. He's a great person. You know right away when you meet him that he's in our mindset.
I should have him on, by the way.
Yeah, you absolutely should. And we'll get in touch with you.
Cool,
for sure.
Cool.
He inspired us to kind of take this journey, and then within, I would say 2 months of us, obviously we joined this co-op. We saw the opportunity. I was like, and I reached out to him basically like, listen, I'm in 100%. We just moved out of, where we were living for a few years. I left my job, so I'm home with the girls full time, and I'm willing to start giving any of my time with, I'll go out there with your crew members, and I'll start being a laborer. I want to learn from scratch, because this is stuff that, nobody's an expert unless you're an expert, and I wasn't an expert, so I wanted to be along these people that had that same path. So, Jim reached out to all the co-ops. At that time, I think it was, close to like maybe 20 at that time, and now we're over 100 co-ops in the nation. And he basically reached out with an opportunity for us to travel to Texas to do an install for a movie star. Wow.
Cool, man.
Look at
Who
that.
was it?
A movie star. I
Who
was like,
was
oh,
it?
cool. I've been watching movies all my life.
That's it.
It was Adrian from the Entourage.
Cool.
I
No
think,
way.
Yeah, we can disclose that now. It's I think it's past the point
Cool.
of
He's into it.
keeping that in wraps. Yeah, he was totally into it. So I mean,
Amazing.
he had his own agenda behind it as far as like he just moved to this land. It was a 36-acre property right off the Colorado River over there in Texas.
Beautiful.
So we flew out there. It was me. I went out there by myself. My wife stayed home with the kids to take care of them, and I met up right off the bat with another co-op from Oklahoma City, and I was just reaching out because I'm coming from a hotel in a state I'd never been in before. I was like, hey, listen, I don't have a car. I need a ride. And within, 5 minutes, I had somebody right away who was like, yo, I'll pick you up. What hotel you're at? So we clicked right away. We get out there to this experience, and now we're looking at a crew of 25 people and a lot of different ideas as far as what he wanted to do with this property. So he had paddocked areas for animals and stuff in the past. I think the previous owner was maybe stabling horses and stuff like that, but there was a lot of areas that were already fenced in to
Nice.
prevent from rabbits or any type of predators that are going to come eat a garden that we're coming to install. And we ended up doing a vineyard. We did a xeriscape with a lot of like desert themed plants, and then we had a full-on food forest area.
Epic.
And on top of that, we had a traditional raised garden bed area as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean that to a certain extent like sparked so much of the interest of what we were looking to do, which is build community, find people that are like-minded, and give back to the earth. And those were always the primary objectives. If we're going to come out of a corporate life where we're getting paid well to grind and provide for our family, what would I do if I stopped doing this and actually, be benefiting everyone?
What were those 3 things you just said again? We're going to go back and put it on screen.
It was building community.
Yeah.
Giving back to the earth.
Yes, that's what stood out.
And finding people that were like-minded.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it in that order the first time,
I think
but
that was it.
that was,
Yeah.
it was close. It was still the same 3 things.
And helping each other, right?
Yeah.
No, because so much is possible when you come together, man.
Yeah, and I'm coming from Florida into Texas, and then we had 25 other groups of people coming from North Carolina, from California, Sarasota, Florida. We had people from Georgia, from North Carolina. So we in one shot just meeting and getting introduced to this lifestyle of like growing food and helping people learn how to grow food. I met people from all across our nation without having to travel, to each individual state.
Cool, yeah.
We met up in one like-minded area based off of one visionary Jim Gale speech.
Cool.
And then also,
Round the troops.
it was a prospect for doing a TV pilot to get on Netflix and,
That's
to
exciting.
show the nation what we could be doing, utilizing our land, because it doesn't, you don't have to have 36 acres.
Yeah.
You don't have to have an acre. You got 20 feet by 20 feet.
Totally.
We can
man.
pack that out.
I love that. Is that what you're doing? It's going to be on Netflix?
Well,
Or-
I mean, that was,
That was the plan?
cool. That was over a year ago, so we'll see.
Got
once
you. There's a process.
Once the money people get involved, then it's a whole
Yeah.
different story. So like,
Yeah.
I think that was initially the idea
Cool.
behind it, and just to kind of educate and bring people into growing their own food.
That's huge, man. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
But that's amazing because I grew up with Entourage,
Yeah.
like watching it with my, when I was a kid or whatever
So
with my
fun.
family. And like, that is like, it's Hollywood, right? It's like
Hollywood.
superficial, like world. And it's so interesting. He's like way connected to the land and like,
Yeah.
that's just a funny.
And he still is. His character
Yeah.
was true to what he was playing on screen,
Yeah.
which is cool.
That is cool, yeah. But anyways, I know he's not that Vinny Chase, but that's just interesting, bro. Hollywood to Texas rancher,
Yeah.
But anyways, bro, I really appreciate having you on, and really, really amazing
Jack,
insights.
I really appreciate the opportunity, man. This is kind of like a bucket list thing, being on a podcast and talking to people. Obviously the people that we know are going to be listening to this are like-minded and see the vision that we see for our future together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not competition, it's not money, it's giving back to the land, finding community, and connecting with other people.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I was just about to say, what do you want to tell them before we leave? Is there anything else? But that was pretty good.
That's
You
really good.
know, to just, you know, to the plant people out there. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, our plants need love too. You know, and whether, you know, let's take it from if you're not growing food and you have a landscape that you're taking care of, give it some love.
Wow,
They want to hear you talk to them. They want to get you to sprinkle water on them. Daily basis, man. You can come home from work and go right to the television. You can go right to cooking dinner, or you can go right to your garden. And you know what's 10 minutes of your already packed lifestyle to go feed our earth.
I love it, man. That's an amazing. I couldn't have said a better answer. Yeah, awareness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plants want love too.
Yeah, they do.
Thank you, Sean.
Jack, thank you, bro.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate it, man.